here on CBS Sports HQ, where we have breaking news in the women's singles final at Wimbledon. Iga Swiatek defeated Amanda Anisimova 6-0, 6-0, and just complete dominance. A truly mind-blowing performance as you take a look. And now, the career Grand Slam titles for Iga Swiatek. You could just go ahead and add another one. You see there, Wimbledon now at the top of the board. For much more on this, let's go ahead and welcome in CiCi Bellis. CiCi, it's so great to see you. I want to start with just what happened out there today. And have you seen a more dominant performance than what we just saw from Iga Swiatek?
Yeah, that was a little hard to watch as you know, an American for sure. It was a tough day for Anisimova, but you know, obviously her first Grand Slam final. There's so many nerves going into this. There's so much more than, you know, just going out and playing a match right now. There's a lot, you know, that goes into it mentally, you know, physically. She's had a long 2 weeks of matches. Also coming off of a massive upset in the semifinals against Sabalenka, #1 in the world. You know, you had to think, was there a bit of a let up coming, you know, after that, you know, monumental upset. So I think a lot of things playing into it, which made it a really tough day for Anisimova. But, you know, on the other hand, for Iga, she started out incredibly well. She started out red hot. She was returning so well. She did not let Amanda inside the baseline at all. Even on her service games, Amanda couldn't get in control of the point, which is super at odds with what we saw in her semifinal match against Sabalenka. And, you know, I would say Iga overall used her angles really well today. She was kind of taking Amanda, you know, off the court, exploiting that movement a little bit. She was forcing Amanda to kind of go for broke and kind of low percentage shots when she was on the run. And that was really the first set. I'd say, you know, the first set was so crucial for this match, even the first, you know, 3-4 games that Iga took away. And, you know, after that, I think Amanda's confidence, you know, really started to plummet. And, you know, after that first set, 6-0, she kind of had a chance. Maybe it was 30-all in the first game of the second set, you know, to potentially kind of like turn things around and shift the momentum, but leaked a couple unforced errors. Her confidence was really struggling. And then, you know, as the match goes on, it's more mental. She's, you know, thinking, oh my gosh, you know, I'm in a Wimbledon final. I'm about to lose 0-0. Can I please get a game? Like, you know, what can I do to even just get a game out here? And so there's a lot of things that were, you know, compounding for her to lose that second set 6-0. I really think it was the first set that did it though.
Yeah, obviously complete dominance from Iga, as you mentioned. However, you can't help but wonder what actually went wrong, and diving into if it was more mental and more a level of confidence for Anisimova here. What does this Wimbledon title mean for Iga's legacy? We just saw the full screen there. Add another one right to her list of Grand Slam titles. She is now just an Aussie Open title away from the career Grand Slam. Where does this rank her?
Yeah, I mean, this was a huge step and milestone for her to becoming, you know, such an incredibly, you know, legacy-oriented player outside of the clay court season. Obviously, she's built up such an incredible legacy already with her French Open titles, but now with a Wimbledon under her belt, along with a U.S. Open, you know, she's really kind of cementing herself in the history books as being an all-court player. I definitely see her winning an Australian Open in the near future. You know, if she's playing tennis like she did today, there's no stopping her from, you know, continuing to rack these up. I think, you know, it's also tough when, you know, these two haven't played each other before. So I think it's you know, kind of going in there, you know, not having a super solid, you know, idea of how your opponent's going to play. For Amanda, especially never playing Iga before, especially, you know, in the spotlight of being this major final. Iga has so much experience there. I think, you know, Iga has beaten many people 0-0, 1-1 over the last, you know, few years when she's been on, and it's not, you know, out of the ordinary. So if that's any sort of positive for Amanda, I would take it for her.
Well, obviously, a dominant and sensational performance for Swiatek here. But if you're Amanda Anisimova here, how do you bounce back? We talked about what actually went wrong for her, but how do you bounce back from this type of defeat?
Yeah, you know, you just have to take the positives. You know, she got to her first major final here at Wimbledon. She has been playing amazing tennis all year. She cemented herself into the top 10 rankings coming out on Monday. So many positives. You know, I think this was a really tough matchup for her today. I'd say, you know, Amanda playing against someone who defends as well as Iga does, who moves as well as Iga does, and returns as well as Iga does. I think that's a really hard matchup for her and for Amanda's game style. So going into it, I was giving Iga, you know, the slight advantage anyway. So overall, unbelievable, 2 weeks for Amanda to come out and, get to the finals here. She's taking a ton of positives, and she's going to take that momentum into the U.S. hardcourt swing for sure.
CiCi Bellis joining us live here on CBS Sports HQ for a recap after what was just a brilliant performance from Iga Swiatek, who defeats Amanda Anisimova 6-0, 6-0 in complete dominance. Sensational performance as you take a look at Wimbledon, now at the top of the board here for Iga Swiatek and her Grand Slam titles.